Hello everyone, as I do every 2 weeks, I bring you an updated 2018 NFL mock draft. If I'm not mistaken, I think the last time I said for the Week 10 edition that I would do a 2-round version this time. In the interest of saving some time, I did not do it here. But I will do one the next time. I will commit to that in a couple of weeks. Are we good on that? I think we are. Alright, so anyways, here is my 1-round 2018 NFL mock draft. You can check out all the picks in the description box down below. Some of the notable things. First off, let me start with this. Last time, a lot of you were befuddled as to why Mike McGlinchey wasn't in the mock draft. I believe it was him. And the simple reason was I screwed up. And when you're going through lists and you're going through names and and especially when you're trying to rush it, stuff like that happens. So my bad. I've got him in there this time going 12 to Cincinnati, who has a mess of their offensive line. I hope that helps you guys a little bit. As far as the number 1 pick right now being Cleveland, I can assume that the front office is going to be gone again. The head coach is going to be gone again. So it's going to be a whole new coaching staff, whole new front office leadership again, which typically means quarterback. Granted, we're talking about the Browns, so they'll be just as primed to sit there and trade down out of that pick. And here's what I would say about this. It is a stupid idea. It doesn't matter how many picks you have if you don't know what the hell you're doing. Furthermore, it does not matter how many picks you have if you do not have a quarterback. For all the people in the media and the fans of Cleveland that wanted to buy into this skid marks process of accumulating additional picks, you stupid idiots, if they'd have stayed put at number 2 overall and just taken Carson Wentz like the hell I said they should, they would be in a different place as an organization. No, they wouldn't be 10-1 or something like that, but they would have a future. There would be a path forward, a direction, a chance at being relevant in the near future. And the same thing you could say this year. They had the chance to draft, Trubisky or Mahomes at number 1. They took Myles Garrett. Fine, I understand. I don't think it was a terrible call for them. But then come around to pick 12, Deshaun Watson is still sitting there. And you trade back because you want more picks. And yes, Deshaun Watson is now on the bench for the season with the torn ACL. But look at what he showed you in Houston before the knee injury. At least if Cleveland had him, there would again be some hope and some reason for optimism, at least some. This team has to stop trading for additional picks. At some point in time, you need stars, you need impact players, you need difference makers, and you need a face of the franchise. For the Cleveland Browns right now at number 1, to me, if there was one quarterback, and again, still a long ways to go in the process, it's got to be Lamar Jackson. Too many questions to me with Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen. Whereas, while Lamar Jackson has questions, he also has big playability. He has the most upside to me of anybody not named Josh Allen in this quarterback class. And I think he is better as a quarterback right now than a Josh Allen is. And worst case scenario for Lamar Jackson, he is a dynamic threat with the ball in his hands. He's got the arm to stretch the field vertically way down the field. He's a guy that can sit there and make all types of exciting, explosive plays happen with his legs. And for an organization that badly needs a breath of fresh air, needs some life injected into it, Lamar Jackson would be just that. I've got Barkley going number 2 to the 49ers with the Jimmy Garoppolo trade. It takes him out of the quarterback market. We'll see what happens. San Francisco could be potentially in a good spot if they do end up with that number 2 pick, because they could be sitting there and thinking, hey, we get one of these other teams potentially trade ahead of the Giants or Broncos and give up a lot to get one of these quarterbacks that we don't really need anyways. So that could happen, or they could just sit put and take the best player available, Saquon Barkley. Number 3, the Giants, as we know now with the benching of Eli Manning and going to Geno Smith, not even trying to play Javis Webb. There is clearly a tank job going on in New York, as there should be. Now, it will come down to what quarterback they have their eyes on, what quarterback do they want, but clearly they have one in mind. Clearly they do. Hence the major reason why they benched Eli. At this moment, I feel like it would be Sam Darnold from USC. But again, who knows? We know McAdoo's going to be gone at the end of the year. There's no way he could be back. And at some point in time, you have to wonder why Jerry Reese still continues to have a job as a general manager in the National Football League. So you could have a whole new coaching staff and a whole new front office for New York in 2018. Who knows where this goes? But right now, it's Sam Darnold. The Broncos at 4 are going to be a trendy pick for a quarterback. They just sunk a first-round pick into Paxton Lynch 2 years ago, and they've barely seen anything, but they've also barely seen anything worthwhile to write home about. I just wonder if they would potentially be a surprise to get into the Eli Manning sweepstakes. I know with Coughlin down in Jacksonville, all the focus is going to be on Eli potentially going there. But Peyton also went there. Peyton also won a Super Bowl there, so there's a familiarity, there's a comfort level with John Elway. I think the Broncos are bigger players for Eli Manning potentially than might be let on. And I feel like for the Broncos, they might want to go down a little more veteran route and go with somebody a little bit more proven instead of trying to draft yet another kid that might very well flame out too. So especially when they're in a position where they might not have a choice of the quarterback they want, it's more of the quarterback they get. So in this case, you go with one of the best defensive players in the draft, in Minkah Fitzpatrick. You can play him at safety, you can play him at quarter. The bottom line is you put him in, and he plays like a stud. Some of you might be surprised to see Quenton Nelson, the guard from Notre Dame, go number 5. And you say a guard in the top 5, you're crazy. Well, a couple years ago, Brandon Scherff from Iowa went in the top 5. Personally, I think Quenton Nelson is a better prospect than Brandon Scherff was coming out of Iowa. I think Quenton Nelson at this moment, as I've seen it so far, is the best offensive line prospect in this draft. And ultimately for the Colts, while there would be a huge decision there with a Bradley Chubb or even a Derrius Guice sitting on the board, assuming you feel like Andrew Luck is going to be good heading into 2018, assuming that his shoulder is going to be healthy and he could get back to form, the number one goal of the program is to protect Andrew Luck, period. And I know protection can come a variety of ways. It can come from improving the offense. It can come from improving the running game, getting a high-end running back. It can come from improving the talent outside and not relying on somebody like T.Y. Hilton to be your number one option. It could come in getting a better tight end. But you got to get better in the trenches. And Quenton Nelson does that day one. Immediate impact on the interior of that line for the Indianapolis Colts. So I think it would make a lot of sense. Which puts the Bears at number 6 in an interesting position. You don't really see them going running back here, nor would that be a wise use of draft resources. They're not going quarterback here. They just drafted Trubisky. Even with a new coaching staff coming in, who knows where we're going to go? Do they stay with the 3-4? Do they go to a 4-3? They might have to just bite the bullet and take best player available, which will be Bradley Chubb from NC State. I've got the Browns coming back at number 7 and taking Derrius Guice from LSU. That may or may not be a little high for him. That said, though, they need more out of the running game. They've got to be able to start scoring some damn points, and they need some explosive big plays out of their offense. Duke Johnson is nice in his versatile kind of third down AFC Theo Riddick version role, but they need a feature back. Isaiah Crowell is not that. Browns fans that think that are fucking delusional. Because there's actually, in general, a good offensive line in Cleveland. Crowell sucks. Time to find somebody better. The Jets at number 8, taking Josh Allen from Wyoming. You might say, why was Josh Rosen still on the board? Somebody's going to bite on this Josh Allen kid. Somebody's going to fall in love with the tools and the skills and fall in love with the highest upside of anybody in this draft class. There are also going to be teams that are scared away by Josh Rosen because of some of the intangibles, the leadership, questions about whether teammates like him, whether coaches like him. Those type of things matter. So while you'll have a lot of mocks that probably have Josh Rosen going number 1 overall right now, I'm just not completely and totally sold. But as I will say with any of these quarterbacks, just like with my Chicago Bears last year at number 2 overall, where they ultimately traded up against themselves and bid against themselves. The Jaguars drafting Blake Bortles number 3 overall. It only takes one team. You could even say with the 2016 draft, with the Rams trading up from 15 to 1, the Eagles finagling from 13 to 8 to 2. It only takes one team to be desperate enough for a quarterback, to value a quarterback enough, to love a quarterback enough, to take them in a certain spot or make sure they get into a spot where they take them. It only takes one. So who the hell knows what's going to happen with this quarterback class coming up? As I've mentioned before, my early impressions of this draft class, I do feel like there are some stars and some real big-time players in this draft. But so far, I have not generally been impressed with the class. There are a lot of positions that I feel are kind of lacking, a lot of positions where there were hype about this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy. And the fact is, so far, I just haven't seen a lot that I really, really like. I think some of the guys that have been thought of as big-name prospects so far have kind of been overrated. But again, still a lot can change. I've got a lot of games to watch, a lot of film and footage to watch before I start making my final evaluations. But here it is again, my updated post-Week 12 2018 NFL mock draft. You can now feel free to bitch about it in the comment section below.